Hello. So I'm going to show the little progress I did last weekend, and I just like fixed my network tonight. So that's good news. So I got two instances of the game working here. So I'm going to start with the networking because it's less boring. Then I will talk about the console. And for those that want to stay for a longer video, I'm going to maybe show some code and explain how things work a little bit. So I'm going to try to be faster at my videos to show the things I want to show. I usually talk a lot as I show a feature about it, and like right now I talk too much instead of showing stuff. So let's host on this computer. So you already saw that. The only difference is now this player is actually a client connected to his own server, basically. So instead of sending the packet through the network through UDP, this player will just send it right away to his server class, and there's no networking. But the logic behind is the same. And this is an entity on the server that I'm just testing, see if the client can see the entity moving. So if you look carefully, it's a little bit laggy. You see the entity kind of move a little bit weird. That's because its position is updated on the server, and the server only runs at 20 frames per second. So before people panic and, well, 20 frames per second, Quake 3 server runs at 20 frames per second also. And you don't see that because the client will interpolate this with the previous position, and it will not look like jerky like this. It will actually look good. Yeah, so it was just a test to see that. So I'm going to join this game. So I can type join, and I can usually, like put the IP address, colon, the port, or you can just use the default join, which will join locally. And same thing, I'm spawning. Then when I spawn, the server create a new entity for the player, and then it assign that entity to me, and then I can play with it. So you notice I don't see the other player there that is on the middle because there's no 3D models for the players yet. Also, the clients are not sending their position yet. Okay, so I will try to position myself around the same area here. Alright, so as you can see, the little thing that is running on the server is perfectly in sync on both clients. And what was happening this weekend, I struggled a lot, is if I hold the title bar of the window here, everything freezes. So, oops, I'm moving the wrong window. So if I hold the title bar, everything freezes. See, if I release it, then all the packets will start sending and stuff. And then I can skip some packets by accident, and it was just screwing up with my networking, and I was just like holding it like half a second and everything will be out of sync. So I fixed that tonight. Also, I will show a little bit that thing here. So this is called a console. I will try to put it more in view here. So I think every game should have a console. It is very useful. I can have commands like quit, host, join, and this is very useful because I don't have to create buttons, I don't have to create UI or whatever. You can just open the console and debug stuff. And also everything in the game is parameterizable. So basically all variables of like a entity type. So if I go see the player type, you can see the autocomplete here I have in the console. You can see their values and you can also change them. So for example, the max health for player is 100. But if I change that, I do set player entity player max health. That's not how you write health. Yeah, my English is pretty bad. So I'm going to say 50. Alright, so then I can quit. Let's quit the client also. Then I'm going to start server. and it should have worked. No, it didn't work. Player max elf 100. Yeah. Anyway, I tried it before and it worked. Like, see, the resolution is corrupt, so I need to set width 1024, set height 768, and if I boot the game again, see, now it's better. So basically, I can tweak stuff on the fly like this, so it's really important. What it does is it generates that config file, and you can go in the config file and change resolution and whatnot. Everything can be changed, like the background color of the console, the progress bar thickness, so that's like the health bar and stuff. If you know, just like World of Warcraft, people can customize everything. The console in this game allow you to do this, and this is very useful for like my friend designer that is helping me a little bit designing this game, because I'm just coding in this game, I'm not actually designing it. You will want to go through that file and modify things, and tweak stuff and try again, tweak stuff, and also the server. I think I will do a debug debug build of the game that the server will just send all the vars, all those variables to every client when they join. Actually, they should always do that. Yeah, that will be ideal. In BV2 and in MadBalls we did that also. So every variables that were considered server variables and like entity types and stuff, they will get sent when a player joins. So that means you can have a server that mod is server a little bit differently, and the player will all get the change when they join. So yeah, so that's it for networking. It kind of works well. So now I can actually try to do something. I get it's not going to work very well for events, so maybe I will go through the networking code a little bit to explain. So here is my Visual Studio. Okay, so I didn't show any code, I think, yet on this. So those that find code boring or something, just stop watching the video now. Basically, we got those snapshots. So this is the idea is taken from Quake 3 but modified a little bit. They use deltas. I don't use deltas. Anyway, so basically there's those snapshots, and what it does, the whole game, everything is initialized when you boot the game. So there, for example, I have all my entities. There's a max entities, which is a number. It's a R number 200. So this engine will not run more than 200 entities, which is a lot, by the way. You don't really need more than this. Normally the server will only like allocate those that are visible, and if I need more I can just cramp up that number, whatever. But the type of game we're doing, multiplayer only, no need for more right now. And so what I do is I create them when the game starts. They're all getting allocated, okay, and those entities, they just have a bunch of properties, entity ID. This one will never change. Entity ID 10 will always be entity ID 10. And if it's alive or not. If it's not alive, it doesn't get rendered. If it's alive, it gets rendered. It's plain simple as this. Those that are more familiar with Unity, entity is actually a game object. Entity is the more standard way of calling this. I think Unreal called them actors. Unity called them game object. But all other engines you will work with, they will call them entity. In I think it was the game I ported recently, Heretic, Doom engine, they call them mob. I don't remember what they stand for. Yeah, anyway. Map object, yeah, mob for map object, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, so basically they're all statically created. Same thing with the players. So the player is not an R number. It's actually defined in the console. So if you want to try just for fun, host a 16-player game, well, you can. You can have a server that does this. It will be legal, just like we were doing in BV2. back in the days, where you can set the numbers you want per server, which had a hard default of I think 32. No, it was 16. And I know people were playing games with like 64 players on a super good server, so it's possible. Then I go into my snapshot code, which I add here. So what it's doing when it's initializing the snapshots for the networking, a snapshot is all the values that are in the frame, in the 20 FPS server frame. So when I initialize, I looped all the entities, and I pass a pointer. All right, so a pointer is just a direct access to, let's say, it's ELF, which is there. It will be, I got auto wrap here, so everything looks weird. Let's hide this. Yeah. So let's say it's ELF. I pass a pointer to it directly. So, and I just store that into an array. Okay, so an array of int here, array of float, depending which kind of property it is. You know, angle, I could probably use a byte here because it doesn't need precision, but I will optimize that later. And then every frame is just going through that array, and it checks with the previous frame. And if it's different than the previous frame, it will write it to a packet and it will send it. You know, it's plain simple as this, and it will keep doing this. Like the previous frame is the last frame that the client replied saying, I received that one. And the server will just keep incrementing frames and sending new ones. And when the player get it, it just set the values. Plain simple. So what's happening is if I'm in my player, all right, and the server, so you saw the spawn in 5 seconds when I boot the game, and it goes down 4, 3. Well, that value is controlled by the server. He controls how many times you take to spawn and stuff. And what I will do in previous games, like Babel or yeah, Babel, basically that's the only multiplayer game I did. 2 Babel, Mad Balls, and BB2. We were send the client will send a packet to the server, request spawn, and the server will say, yeah, I can spawn you. So he will send a message back saying spawn in 5 seconds. And then the client will start from there, and after the 5 seconds, it will reply back to the server, I'm ready to spawn now. My 5 seconds passed. And the server will have to double check, make sure he actually waited that time, because there's some hacks in there the clients can do. So you end up with everything you do in the game. And this is just a spawn example, but everything, shooting a gun or whatever, you end up with all those packets you have to send and respond differently. And what you end up doing is most of those packets, except the player position, they need to be reliable. So they need to reach destination because it's important. And what I do right now, the network is using UDP only. So UDP, the packets can be lost on the internet, and the server will never get it. So what's happening is the client will keep resending it every frame until the server send a packet saying, okay, I got it. So it's kind of inefficient for those kind of things, and you end up with huge number of packets that you have to handle and stuff. And I remember Mad Balls, it was just, oh my god, there was so many network packets. It was a nightmare. So right now, you know, I go in my snapshot here that I showed you, and if I go in my player, you can see I have the spawn in here, and on the client side of it, I pass a value to it.